Okay, look, I hate this game. It stresses me out, but I keep playing it. Why? We have a pristine pearl the Duchess wanted, and we're back in the Central Shallows. Next step is to head towards the castle, but on the way there, the game started letting us know that things weren't quite right. It was subtle hints, like the music becoming more creepy, and the fact that the colours had literally just left the chat. We finally get to the castle and the gates are completely destroyed, and there's only one guard left at the gate. His eyes are also glowing purple, which is probably not a good thing. We decide to have a chat with him. He starts rambling on about how he stood watch his entire life, and he's getting nothing in return, and he keeps saying that the trash is piling up. He's sick of it. Final thing he says is, it's all worthless, and then he attacks us. Obviously we win that fight, and then we get like a location marker which says Fort Slacktide with a question mark. So clearly something isn't right here. We can't get through the gate because it's broken. So we head towards the barracks and see if there's another way in. In the barracks there's a slightly bigger crab. This one's got a banana for a hat and he's holding a comb. Also he hits like a train. We get past him, find a way up the tower and go for a jump, and then just completely miss the jump and land straight in a crowd of crabs. I get to safety again and then spot an item on the way up and decide for some reason to go back for it. When I get there, I get the item, I press the wrong button and I drop my shell instead. It's fine, we make it out, climb the tower, in the distance we spot a moon shell location. When we get there we rest up and level up. I put another point into my attack. From here I had to figure out how to get back into the main hall. I thought that involved jumping into the courtyard, so I did exactly that. Turns out I was pretty wrong and I literally just got plastered by the lobsters down there. So I jumped back in again because now I needed my stuff back. And then I made a break for the door, which was shut and locked. So in a panic I ran for the door's opposite and started getting attacked by the lobsters again. Luckily I spot another exit and go for it. Back on top of the castle walls, my keen little eye spots a path along the side of the tower. I probably should have spotted that sooner. When we get to the top of that path, there's another one of those big crabs with the combs ready for us. And then even further up we find a shortcut point, which was lucky because we pretty much died straight after. Second round though, we send him flying. Grapple over to the main building, jump down and then head downstairs. I managed to skip a crab in the process, and then for some stupid reason I went back for him. Like why? Obviously I died again. I get back to the stairs and I fight the crab again, this time for the sake of my ego. Once we're past him, I check out that obstacle course room from earlier and find like a sea star hidden away. In the main hallway, I unlock the door to the courtyard, turn around and head towards the main hall, only for some lobster to bust through the wall like some BTEC Mr. X. I spend a few seconds flapping before he ends me. When we get back, Mr. X is gone, which is horrifying in itself. But the hole he left, I find a chip claw inside, and then I head into the main hall. Dutchie is looking a bit crabby.
Hey, I don't know if you noticed, but your guards are going nuts out there.
Oh, Clontre, little hermit. Our minds are clear as crystal now.
Oh, shuck.
I once thought my duchy quite beautiful, you know. Worth preserving. But compared to the reefs, it's a shameful, transient thing, destined to wash away. That's why I'm having them tear it down. I thought my beauty worth preserving too. But of course, my worthless life will wash away as easily as any other. Almost as easily as yours, little hermit!
To say this battle tested my patience would probably be an understatement. I died a handful of times and the best I could do was get her around 50% health. And that was probably just luck. There was no skill in this room. Honestly, I gave up. I couldn't beat her, so I went crying back to the moon snail and unlocked a new skill, Riposte, which lets us counterattack after a parry. Next I start hunting for a new shell and stumble across a new enemy in the process. Turns out it was a mini boss. My guy had a D-shaped bike lock which he'd rigged up with a blade. Dude had literally built a goddamn guillotine. Oh, and it worked really well too. He took my head off every single time. After losing against Dutchie, I really wanted to win this fight. I even got him down to like 25% health. But on a different try, I got one hit on him before he killed me. So I scrapped this boss too and I went wandering around some more. Also, check out this pufferfish, right? It's literally tied down, not going anywhere. I thought, hell yeah, easy win. Came back and had a nightmare with my camera. Came back again and I just grabbed my stuff, man. I decided to be the bigger crab and walk away. While I was wandering around, I met Vern. He asked me to clear the crabs out from under his tower. I obliged because, let's be honest, I clearly needed the practice. He rewards me with a blood starfish, the final one I needed to complete the starfish. Somehow this increases my health. I'm not going to deep it. I was feeling pumped after that fight though, so I went back to Mr. Shellsplitter again. I did a bit more concentrating, loads more dodging, stabbed him with a fork a few times. I was literally getting flashbacks to London. Anyway, he's dead. I couldn't take his guillotine, but I got a bunch of purple crystals and went back to Mooney to unlock another skill, the plunge move, which let me jump in the air and do a heavy attack downwards. 2 new skills and a dead boss. I was feeling confident, so I went back to the castle. I was ready. I was gonna beat her, I was gonna avenge my deaths, I was gonna get my shell back. We were ready for this fight. Yeah, she killed me again. And again, and again, and again. My health bar looked like a sound meter from a drum and bass track. Something had to change. And it did. I snapped and quit. I wasted some time crying into my pillow, ate a Costco bagel, which was nice, thanks for asking, and I came back with a vengeance. My frustration was mounting. I was going crazy. My eyes were glued to the screen. I was gonna have nightmares about this. Okay, yeah, she's dead. Turns out I just needed to get good. Also, we got this royal wave thing, which the game didn't bother explaining to me. Something about dungeons and claws? I don't know. And then the shark dude popped up again. He complimented our fight and then said that he was going to head to the big city to pawn off our shell. If we wanted it back, we had to meet him there and hope he hadn't already sold it. And then the game explained what the royal wave was. It was an adaptation. Simply put, we could use it to hit enemies. I leveled up attack again and then hit the road for the big city. To get there, we had to go through one of the doors that was closed last time and then follow this massive bridge out of the castle. At the end of the bridge, we meet a fellow hermit crab named Firth. F for short. F tells us that the bridge is out and that he's screwed because he spent all of his plastics on rare trash and now he can't get into the city. Sounds like a him problem though. We need to find an alternative route. Back the way we came, we found an opening. Also, check out how they're using the ketchup packets. Real creative. Anyway, jumping off the bridge, we immediately find a stainless relic. I guess we'll find a use for them later. Further down the path, we find 2 new annoying enemies. One is a seahorse which shoots inflatable sponges at you and sends you literally flying. The other are these green crabs, which can do unblockable attacks. Yay, new challenges. Anyway, later we meet one of these crabs on top of a flip-flop, which was a really awkward location to fight. Luckily we won this one because there was a shortcut behind it. I jumped down to unlock it, but that might have been a mistake because I struggled to get back up, like really struggled. Eventually we reach a sign with a snail on it, and he was a racing snail. Explain that one to me. All this guy did was brag about how fast he was, and then finally at the end told me what I actually needed to do, which was literally just jump in his shell and roll down the ramp. Something that apparently I was incapable of doing because I missed the first jump, tried a second time, missed again, and then third time lucky I actually pressed the jump button and landed on the path beyond. At the end of this windy path, we got our first view of the city and this lovely bridge too. I tried speaking to the guard on the bridge, but dude was lights out. So I headed off into the city. On the other side of the bridge, I started to meet a few interesting characters. One in particular was standing on a balcony and tried to get us to come inside and say hi. Krill got really shy about that. We also met Tortellini, who welcomed us to New Carcinia and explained what the city was. We then asked him about our shark friend, and Torts says that the shark came this way, but he didn't see where he went because Torts doesn't turn around. So we asked him an easier question. Where would someone sell a shell? Torts points out 4 locations for us to try. First is Shellfish Desires, which is a fancy pants shop for selling shells. Second was the town museum. Third was Bottom Feeders, where someone could find a buyer for stolen goods. And lastly was the blacksmith who, well, you get the point. So we start at the top, Shellfish Desires. If anyone was going to buy my fancy shell, it was them for sure. On the way we bump into F again. Looks like he made it somehow. Turns out he's a shell trader and an entrepreneur. Okay mate, also the conversations we catch in the city are brilliant. Here's one where they were talking about trash futures like they're a legit stock trade, and this crab which was telling us about how great it was that we were visiting the city on trash day. At Shellfish Desires we chat to the crab outside, who immediately identifies us as visually financially troubled. That's a gentle way of saying that we look broke. They told us that we have 5 minutes to gawk before we get moved on. I took that chance to look through their shop. They sold some interesting shells. The little bro one caught my eye. They also sold insurance, which was handy. Basically it meant you got to pick a shell that you wanted to start with every time you died, which is a lot for me, so definitely worth the money. I bought the thimble one, and yeah, I know there's better shells, I didn't realise at the time. I don't want to hear it. Finally we asked about our shell, and they told me that the shark had come through, but they don't do trade-ins at this store. And even if they did, they wouldn't have bought the ratty ass shell the shark was trying to offload. They also had no idea where he went from there. Oh well. Next stop, the museum. On the way there, some dude was stood a little too close to the edge of a bridge. I tried to push him off, but the game wouldn't let me. At the museum, I chatted with this old looking crab called Conch. We asked him about the building and he told us it's the city museum, but we can't go in at the moment because they're putting up a new exhibition. Next we asked him about the shark and our shell. He says that he hasn't seen any sharks, but the chances are if they're trying to sell stolen shells, bottom feeders is a place to go. So that was our next stop, jumping straight into the lower crust. First crab we meet was a little dude who was saying how it was. We did a bit of wandering around and then found the bottom feeders. We started up a conversation with the owner, Nima. She told us that she sold stowaways and if we ever needed one, she was a crab to speak to. I asked her about the shark, but she told me that she would have noticed if someone like that was in her pub. Fair enough. I perused her shop and checked out the expansions for stowaways. Might come in handy in the future, I guess. Next was the blacksmith. But on the way I kinda got distracted because I met Eric. He was an urchin who seems pretty sad. For some reason Krill was obsessed with wanting to give him a hug, so I indulged and got poked by the spikes, but we kept going. Eric thought that we were weirdos, and then eventually he snapped. He gave us his secret weapon, another adaptation. This time it was an urchin toss, which let us throw a umami urchin, which latches onto the enemy and then exploded to cause some damage. Might come in useful. Wrapping up that little tangent, we meet up with the blacksmith. Before we could even ask about the shark, he starts telling us about how we can upgrade our fork with a stainless relic we found earlier. So we do that. Our fork was looking a lot shinier. I ask him about the shark and he tells us that he has seen the shark and he's already turned my shell to scrap. And then straight after, backtracks. He says he got confused and actually hasn't seen a shark at all. So we'd spotted our shell and it was a prawn selling it off. We headed over but got distracted by this damsel in distress. But she says she's chill and she can handle it herself, so we let her get on with it and take a little peek behind the store where we find the shark. But it was all a ruse, a mask, a fake, and with that in mind we go to get our shell back from the prawn. Krill seems to think that the shark sold the shell to the prawn, but obviously that's him out of his disguise. He tells us that if we want the shell back we have to buy it from him. We tell Prawn Nathan we haven't got a lot of plastic, we're open to working for it. Before Prawny could even make us an offer though, he gets distracted by the sound of something.
Trash day! It's trash day! Everyone get your baskets! Don't miss out!
Back off! I saw it first!
Get your own trash, motherfuckers! What is that thing?
I've never seen anything like it.
It's a message from the captain! It's got his face right on it! It's gotta be!
Excuse me? Excuse me, please. Pardon me. Excuse me, young lady. As New Cassinia's official historian, I'm sure I can shed some light on... My God! If I'm not mistaken, this is part of a map! A map showing the way to a most valuable treasure, I say! If someone were to find its missing pieces and decipher them, why, they'd be rich beyond their wildest dreams, I say!
Rich? I like the sound of that. That treasure's as good as mine. I'll be able to afford the flashiest shell in the ocean, you know?
Not if I get there first. Think of all the tourists that treasure can bring to our city.
Well, don't you count out us bottom-siders. You'll be eating your hat when I get that treasure and fix up my restaurant.
It would appear the hunt is on, I say. The first stop on the map seems to be the forest to the north of here. May the best, Crab!
Apologies for the interruption, folks. I seem to have misheard something. I could have almost sworn there were some citizens here planning on unearthing some valuables. Need I remind you all how threatening the ocean is outside this reef? I'd hope it would go without saying that the duty of such a dangerous excavation would fall to the Shellfish Corporation. That would be safest for all involved. Don't you agree?
Yeah, we hear you, Roland. No problem.
Then, as Shellfish Corp's CEO and this fair city's de facto mayor, I suppose no one would have any objections to my taking sole control of this treasure hunt. Are we all in agreement?
Oh dear. I suppose that sounds all right with me, I say.
You hear what they're talking about over there?
Sounds like some kind of crazy treasure hunt.
Hey kid, I just got an idea. If you can go get that treasure they're jawing about, I'll gladly trade your shell for it.
For real? You'd really do that?
You bet. A prawn never goes back on his promise.
Aw, yeah! I'm gonna find that treasure!
Haha, yeah, you go, kid! Roland can't tell us what to do! That treasure belongs to whoever can find it first!
The corporations don't control us!
I suppose a little friendly competition is only fair. I hope you know what you just dove into, kid. See you in the open ocean, treasure hunters.
So now we've met Roland, who I'm guessing will be the final boss, and we've been roped into a random treasure hunt in exchange for our shell. I think that's it, I've digressed. Our story will continue, as long as you give this video a like and subscribe if you want to see more. Catch you in the next one, see ya.